Our next steps, well, we have to first fix the problem of the perimeter. We have circles that are leaking out over the edge. That's an easy fix. You'll see how easy it is in just a second. And then we're going to create surfaces and turn it into a perforated surface. Then we're going to go back to the beginning part of class today and add a rotator so that you'll really see how powerful adding a surface like this can be into a plane pattern. But anyway, let's get started. So what we notice here is that we have the circles are extending beyond, right? So that means that the radius is larger than the center point's proximity to the edge, which basically means if I can reduce the testing range to a smaller profile that is offset as much as the largest radius or more, then none of my included circles could possibly reach the edge. I'll draw it up on the board. So if I have a profile like this, and I want to reduce the testing range or the testing region, by an amount that is equal to or greater than the largest radius that could possibly occur, which is 2 1/4, but I'll choose 2.5 feet, then there's no possible way, even if one of my center points was coincident, which it won't happen, but it could very well be very, very close. Even if one of them was coincident with that testing region, then the largest radius will stop a 1/4 inch short. That's the worst circle in the world. Guys, I'm really bad at drawing circles. It'll stop a 1/4 inch short of the outer perimeter of the surface that I'm going to keep. Is that clear? Well, let's do it, and then it'll be clear.
So it's an offset.
It is, yes. It's an offset secondary region that I'm creating. Even though I know my surface needs to be this big, I'm going to reduce my testing range so that it's smaller than, could create a problem. So for me, that's going to look like this. And I'm going to do it in an automated way, right? So everything that I do for you guys is trying to be automated. So if the numbers change, the relationship will change as well. It'll be proportional. So offset was the word that I think we need to think of here, right? We're going to offset the curve by an amount equal to the largest radius plus a certain safety degree. So for me, I'll choose a 1/4 inch. And that looks like this, right? We have our list of radiuses. So we have our list with the circle radius, and we're going to find the largest one. I'll show you how to find the largest one, very easy. And then we're going to create an offset using that number. So let's start with the offset. I'm going to go to Curve, Utility, Offset. And I'll drop it in somewhere around the middle here. What I know is that I'm going to take this curve and I'm going to offset that and replug it in so that I'm testing with my offset curve instead. What I'm going to need is a numerical distance. The plane is going to be inherent to the curve itself because our curve is planar, so we're not going to need to override that. The corners, don't worry about that. These are just different types of corners you could add to it. For our purposes, we're just going to leave it sharp or none, essentially. So here's what we're going to do. Let's find the distance. Okay, so the inherent distance right now is 1. So if I plug this in, you see that it's creating an offset from that 1 foot to the inside of the edge, but I need something that's bigger. I need something that is the largest number of this list plus a certain degree of safety. So I'm going to go to math, domain, and I'm going to pull out this one that's called bounds. Bounds, it says, creates a numeric domain, and remember, domain means minimum and maximum, which encompasses a list of numbers. So when I drop bounds in, and I plug the panel into bounds, right? It asks for numbers as a list. What it gives me is the numeric domain, 0.5 to 2.5, which is very powerful when combined with domain deconstruct domain. I know you're a little lost back there. I see you shaking your head. But the connection is really simple, right? I take the boundary which measures the lowest number, the largest number. Then I deconstruct that boundary, and then I can individually select both the lowest number or the largest number. The largest number being E, the end of the domain.
So the first one was the bound, another one was like, no, another one.
So now comes the degree of safety, the mathematics part, right? I could plug this into the distance, right? That gives me 2 1/4. But that means if one of my curves, or circles, I mean, center points is very, very close to that edge, it could very well cut almost to the edge or to the edge itself. And I don't really want that. I want a degree of safety along the edge so that I can retain some thickness. You'll see what I mean when it's done. So I'm going to add addition, right? Because remember, this is a number. It's a number. So I'm going to add 2.25 plus, using a panel, .25, which gives me 2.5. And I'm going to override the D input with 2.5.
What offset was that again?
This?
Yeah.
This is offset curve. So I'll go through it with you again real fast, and I'll tag everything so you can see it. So what we did was we dropped in an offset. That offset came from curve utility. Okay, and I plugged the curve that we already had into it. Then I jumped all the way back and I said, well, I need to give this thing the distance. Okay, so I went all the way back to this list, right, with my largest number radius, right, my largest radius for any of the circles. And these two, we have bounds that came from math domain, and deconstruct domain came from math domain. These two allow me to create an output domain that says the minimum and maximum values, 0.5, 2.25. Then I can deconstruct that so that I'm allowed to select the largest number. That's that. And then I went to math operators and I added 0.25 to it, which gave me the numerical output of 2.5. Okay? So I do want to finish the complete thought here in this video, and then I'll help you troubleshoot. But basically, at that point, we have a degree of safety around the entire perimeter here that we can just replace the curve into the in-curve test, and every single one of these circles will be completely contained within the surface itself. So if I plug that in, that's what I get. I replaced this curve output with the in-curve test. So I'll slide this off to the side like this, and I will put that up there so you can review as well as you can anyway. And I'll come around and help you all troubleshoot. But to give you a sense of what that degree of safety did, see this circle right here? That point, the center point of that circle is almost coincident with that inner testing line. Which means if I had done it a 1/4 inch to the outside, this might actually be almost indiscernibly tangent to, or non-tangent to the edge itself, which is problematic because if you ever build it or laser cut it, then you're going to wind up with a gap on the side, which we're going to laser cut just like those. Okay, so all this stuff is just prep for considerations for what we're going to do next week. What questions do you have? Okay, I'll come around and I will troubleshoot with you.